how you doing? Here's my very first episode of Untaught, Things That I Was Not Taught by Renee. I love this quote, by the way. First of all, this t-shirt is courtesy of Peperuca. Thank you so much. And it was a way of celebrating, I'm not very sure what it was a way of celebrating, the fact that I stand up for public land or the fact that I was arrested. That story coming on shortly. But it just got me thinking. What are all the things that we are not taught? Now, for those of you who don't know, the quote came from an interview by two really good friends of mine. So Olive Burrows, who's a journalist in Kenya, asked the Honorable Martha Karua, who is a veteran politician and a great stateswoman. Anyways, a great hero in the political Kenyan space. And she asked her a question, okay? And the question went a little bit like this. I'll put the video down here so that you can see it later. Anyways, the question went a little bit like this. The question was, she said to Martha, who is a very strong personality, she said to her, you know, most women or most girls are brought up to be demure, to be quiet, to be retreating, to be shy, to be safe, to be put together. But you're very outspoken. And the Honorable Martha Karua just retorted, and she said immediately, well, I was not taught. Oh. On the one hand, it was like, train crash moment. On the other, though, I thought it was so brilliant that Olive had the courage to ask the question that so many people have in their minds, but dare not ask, because they were taught not to ask. And that she went ahead and she asked the question, and that Martha was strong enough to tell her, well, actually, I was not taught. So what are all the things that were not taught? And it also came, I've got to say, from an article about me on the Thomson Reuters Foundation. And I'll put a link to that as well. And it started off with, so this is the quote. This is how it starts, right? I'm going to read it. It starts with, so the title of the article is One Woman's Fight to Save Nairobi's Playgrounds and Public Spaces by Nita Bal. And it was published on the 19th of October in 2020. And it says, it's hard to keep up with Renee Gamau. From mentoring women entrepreneurs to campaigning against police brutality, the Kenyan lawyer, businesswoman, human rights activist, and former primetime radio disc jockey has taken up many social causes over the years. And then it goes on to say, but Gamau's latest crusade is to protect Kenya's urban playgrounds. And I've had lots of questions by people just ask me, okay, how do you do all of this? How are you lawyer, activist, coach, trainer, mentor, mother, friend, I hope? How do you do it all and fit it all and just manage all of this? Well, largely it's because, you're right, I wasn't taught any different. But then I was taught something. So that's really what this is about. And I'll tell you what I was taught, okay? So here's the first thing. So then I can answer this question once and for all. I was taught definitely to be me. You know, most people rag single mothers and they'll be like, children who come from single mothers, I don't know what, nini. But there's something about being raised by a single mother that teaches you to work so hard, to be so focused, because you know that the only thing that she'll be able to give you is education. The other thing is, very often, not always, but very often, because you just have the one single parent, the interaction between you and your parent is a lot more intense. Now, that can be a good thing or it can be a not so good thing. But in my case, I had a mother who just would not allow me to be quiet and shut up. You could tell why. It would have been so much more of trouble to just make me shut up than to allow me to just speak out. And whenever I had an issue, she'd just tell me to go and confront the person I had the issue with. Whether it was in school and I thought that a teacher had just said something that was out of turn. And boy, did that lead into trouble, hey? It wasn't like without consequence. Whether it was a home and I needed to say something or to speak to just tell her how I felt. She just taught me to speak out. And here's one of the things that we are taught, which is a really sad thing, which is not to speak out. You know, I watched Boniface Mwangi's movie the other day. Have you watched it yet? By the way, you should watch it, hey? The movie's called Softy, the movie. And it's like a biopic of him thus far, okay? Because we all know Boniface Mwangi has got a lot more contribution in him. Anywho, in the movie, there's this one line that he has, and the line is, he says, and I'm going to paraphrase this. Sorry, Bonnie, I love you, but yeah, you can see I wasn't taking notes at the movie. He says, when you're poor, you're taught to be quiet. You're taught to avoid trouble. You're taught not to speak up. You're taught not to show up. Okay, so those are my words, not his. He says it much better. And I thought, well, that's not exactly true. When you're not poor, when you're in the working class or the middle class, you're taught to be quiet. You're taught not to speak up. You're taught not to have an opinion. You're taught not to rock the boat. And the excuse that is used for it is that if you do, then you will be rocking the status quo. And people like us don't do activism. Where people like us is, oh, if your parents were, I don't know, a professional lawyer, architect or whatever, if you live in a stone house, if you have running water, if you have intermittent electricity, because heaven knows we don't have electricity all the time. And so we're all being taught to be quiet, to be demure, to be right, to be, just so. And to protest, well, we're given social media and you can do it in your WhatsApp group and you can say, someone should. And nobody ever does because we were all taught to be quiet. Well, maybe that's one of the things we need to be untaught and to really speak out your opinion. So, yes. Why am I telling you about speaking out your opinion? Because part of the thing about being able to be fully self-expressed is being able to allow all of the expressions of you. You see, I don't believe that people are only singularly talented. I think very few people are singularly talented. And they usually know themselves, by the way, by the age of about 5. They're those kids who will come out of the stomach going, where's the piano? They cannot walk, but they're already interested in the car engine. Those are the ones who know, and those are the ones who are singularly talented. The rest of us, we're multi-talented. We read, we write, we paint, we draw, we play music, and then we're forced into a career. And the forcing into the career is based on whatever you're good at school. So imagine if you're a kid who, under the now defunct or almost defunct 844 system, you're good in your math, your sciences, and you're good in your arts. Well, they'll force you to pick one. And so you pursue your arts or you pursue your sciences at the expense of the other. But you see, that's not all you are. You're this whole rounded human being. Does that make sense? And so eventually you end up being this one thing, and it's just the one thing that you are, and all of these other talents fall to the side. And then you get to a certain age, like my age, which is years of age. Read the article, by the way, you'll find out exactly how old I am. Anyways, you get to my age, and then you're calling people like me, life coaches, to say, I'm at the top of my career, I'm at the top of my business, I'm successful, and I'm unfulfilled, I'm empty, I'm feeling like I wish I could just run away from it all. Or your kid finally goes to university. Yes, step to one side, mothers with children going to university abroad. I got you on this one. They're on their way to university and you just decide, you know what, Baba Nani, I am taking baby to university. I'll be back in a couple of months. 4 years later, you're working as a manager of an old people's home somewhere in Middle England. And you've left a mansion, beautiful cars, a beautiful lifestyle because those things became your trap. They became the gilded cage that was stopping you from just being yourself and just breaking free. And that's what you want to do. And then, of course, you know how it goes. After about 4, 5, 6 years, Baba Nani gets sick with diabetes, high blood pressure, name the illness. You've got to come home to take care of him. Sadly, he passes on and you're left with nothing but regret, bile, and upset because now you're old. You've got to sort out this estate. Maybe other children have shown up. Tofiaka. And you haven't lived yet. Well, I'm certainly hoping that with this series, one of the things to unteach us or to be untaught around is how not to be fully self-expressed. Man, we've got one life to live. It's this once. It's never going to happen again. And are there consequences, or is there a cost to not living fully self-expressed? Oh, hell yeah, there is. I mean, let's face it. That article came out because I was arrested. I was arrested because I was standing for a public playground not to be grabbed. I could have stayed home and watched as they built whatever they were building on that playground and just told my children, well, just come, we'll be playing in the house. But clearly, that is not my portion. I'm clearly too untaught to be quiet when there's something going on that I think I need to raise my voice to. I'm certainly hoping that together we can work out a way to unteach ourselves from all of those things that stop us from just being fully ourselves, just like totally being us. So what's the first step in it? Well, step number one is reconnect with who you truly are. There's nothing like that. Now, I can tell you this from this side of the table, okay? Because even though it is continuously unfolding, I can say right now, and I say it with great humility because I know the path that I've been on and how life has dealt with me. It takes quite a bit for you to reconnect truly with who you are and to rediscover who you are. Sometimes it's almost like discovering yourself afresh. Now, if you know my story, which I know I've told very many times, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. You know that for me, it was like a road to Damascus experience. Actually, it was probably more like a Balaam and the donkey experience. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. But if you're biblical, I'm about to massacre this story. So just, give me some artistic license. So the Balaam and this donkey story is Balaam, who's apparently a prophet. Was it Balaam? Abu, by the way, just put in comments before I destroy like the Bible over here. Hey, good Lord. Anywho, my version of events, okay? Maybe I know like a different Balaam from the one who you know. Balaam's on his way to some city. He's supposed to go to some place where I'm not sure what he was going to do, actually. Okay, anyways, Balaam is on his way somewhere. He has gotten onto his donkey because apparently he goes by donkey. The donkey gets to, I think, a wall or something, and the donkey's like, you know what, I'm not going past. It won't go, right? And donkeys can be super stubborn. People over in Muru, yeah, we see you. So, anyways, the donkey won't go. And the donkey apparently can see something that's stopping it, and the donkey just won't go, and it stops, and it won't move, and Balaam's beating the donkey and whatnot, and this and that, and it's trying to get him to move. I can imagine Balaam coming off his donkey and, like, yanking the donkey. It's like, damn, donkey, move. Fuda. Anywho, eventually, apparently, according to my version of the story and how I heard it, okay? How I heard it being the most important thing to underline here. Eventually, the donkey's like, boss. Was it the donkey that talked? For my story, it's going to be the donkey that talked, okay? Your story is probably a bit clearer. The donkey / the angel of the Lord, which is not a donkey, it is like a real angel, okay? Sort of said, can't you see? Like, stop, or you're not supposed to go there. Balaam, that is where we were. The reason I was telling you that story is so that I could tell you this story, my road to Damascus experience, which led me to really rediscover my own purpose and get really clear on who it is that I am, who I'm not, what I'm up for in life, what I'm not up for in life, what experiences I want to attract into my life, and the ones that I do not want. Don't bring those ones to me. Was a Balaam and the donkey experience. I, as you know, have been in practice as a lawyer here in Kenya. Here is Kenya right now, if you're watching somewhere other than here. And I also worked in the UK in a huge law firm. And I was galloping along the road on my personal career donkey and working my way towards a PhD. So I was working towards a PhD on the new partnership for Africa's development, NEPAD. And I'd written quite a lot on it because I was very fascinated on it. But it was like, can I tell you the truth? I mean, NEPAD is a fantastic experience. Like I have a lot of respect for what the African Union is doing. Fine print, nini. But for me, that like a PhD, do you know what I was doing my PhD for? I was doing my PhD because I really felt at the time, my father-in-law or ex-father-in-law, my father-in-law, I love him, had started a PhD and he had never completed it. And I remember when I'd talk to him, he'd say, I really wish someone in our family could just do a PhD. And I thought, dun, 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 I shall be the one to complete a PhD and fulfill your life. So I started on this PhD in law. It could be more boring. It could. For me, it just wasn't the thing. But I was going to do it because that's what I had determined to do and because I was very focused, and focus is important. And life was kind of going, Renee, could you just do what it is that you're really good at doing? Renee, could you really do the things that life is calling you to do? Renee, do you mind just focusing on what it is that you are really here on earth to do? And I had gotten glimpses of it. And I was doing stuff on the side that was kind of around what it was that I know I'm now here to do, here on earth to do. But I wasn't being very serious because I needed to finish the PhD. Then I'm going to work for this law firm. I'm going to be solicitor. Then I'm going to do the New York bar. Then I'm going to do the Californian bar. Then I'm going to be like a great solicitor. Then when I'm a great solicitor, I've earned tons of money and my life is like brilliant and it's ordered and it's perfect. Then I will do the thing that I feel that I'm called to. You know, life doesn't work like that. If you're as stubborn as I am, it will hit you upside the head and go, listen, I told you to pay attention. Now pay attention to me. And it was only when I had that road to Damascus experience that I stopped and I finally listened and I saw the light. So for you, I'm hoping that I can tell this story so that for you, it's not a road to Damascus experience, so that life doesn't have to hit you upside the head like an African mother, you know, that you can, that you can get it for yourself beforehand. So I know a lot of people ask me, how do you rediscover your purpose? And I know that I do an entire course. I teach an entire course on this, like 5 modules on things for you to do to rediscover it. By the way, it's not like very, very difficult. I can tell you what they boil down to.